All right, we will call to order the September 17th meeting of the Kansas Board of Regents. Great to see everyone. I hope all had a good summer, and I know the fall semester is about a month old. Hope that is going well, and it's great to see you all. We will have some special introductions here in just a moment, but the first agenda item would be to consider approval of 6 different meetings. Approve those minutes, would entertain any discussion related to the minutes. If not, would entertain a motion to approve. Okay, we have a motion by Regent Dicus, second by Regent Wolf-Moore. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, minutes are approved. Some special introductions this morning or this afternoon. First of all, a welcome to our newest regent, Pamela Amar. Distinguished career. We certainly appreciate you being willing to put those talents and that expertise to use to better our higher education system, and wasn't officially approved by the planning retreat, even though you were there and were able to hear the discussion. But it's our pleasure to officially welcome you this morning. So any words?
Thank you very much. Actually, it's an honor to be appointed by the governor, and I did appreciate the governor allowing me to go to the retreat under the guise of being chair-elect for the WSU Foundation, which helped me get started and kind of hit the ground running. But I'm looking forward to this opportunity and serving our state. Thank you.
Help me welcome Regent Amar. And I believe the last time that we were physically in this room, we were approving and announcing the 11th president of Pittsburg State University. And he is here for his first meeting this morning. Dr. Thomas Newsom. Became evident throughout the search process that the Dr. Newsom was the perfect candidate for the Pittsburg State position. So glad to have you on board, and welcome to President Newsom. Care to say a few words? Absolutely. Yeah. You want to hit your mic?
There we go. Thank you, Chair Benson, Regents. I do appreciate this. And thank you for giving me the honor of being the 11th president at Pittsburg State University. Vicki, my wife, and I have been on the job for, I guess we're in week 4. So it's early, but we want to just say thank you to the team at Pittsburg State. Thank you to the community in Pittsburg, Kansas, for making our welcome pretty amazing. We're incredibly excited. I want to specifically thank Doug Ball, who's in the room. Dr. Ball was the interim president for the last few months and has done an amazing job of making sure that we continue the momentum at Pittsburg State. And thank you to Dr. Shipp and for all he did in Pittsburgh at the university. And again, that momentum that we have at the university is just pretty phenomenal. And I hope that we can continue to build and continue to grow the institution and continue to do great things for not only Pittsburgh and our region, the state of Kansas, and all of those who are associated with our amazing university. So thank you very much.
Thank you again, President Newsom. And I too had in my notes to again thank Doug Ball for stepping into the interim role for a little over 4 months. Doug, I know that was in addition to everything else that you've got going on, and just greatly appreciate your leadership. So again, thank you to you, and welcome to President Newsom. All right, other introductions this morning. I believe President Mason.
Good afternoon.
Good
I have
afternoon.
several introductions, and first I'd like to start with Dr. Corey Isbell. Where we stand? He is our new president at Fort Hays Tech Northwest, and he comes to us after serving 13 years at Fort Hays Tech North Central as Vice President of Student Instructional Services. He was an integral part of the affiliation movement and onboarding process. So we're really grateful that we have an opportunity to have a seamless transition, so to speak, in a new presidency. Thank you so much, Corey. I'm also pleased to introduce the faculty, staff, and student government leaders for this academic year. Our faculty Senate President, Dr. Matthew Clay, there you go, is an associate professor of teacher education. He holds a bachelor's degree from Pitt State, a master's degree from Montana State, and a doctorate from the University of Northern Colorado. His research focuses on the role of place in education and the innovative use of 360-degree videos in environmental education. And most notably, he is an esteemed fellow of the Explorers Club. Nikki Houchin serves as our degree analyst for our international partnerships. She and her family began their Fort Hays journey in 2017, living and teaching in China. Following COVID challenges, Nikki and her family returned to the Hays campus in 2021. Nikki is very passionate about serving our international students and is eager to extend the same support for our staff through her role as Staff Senate President. Nikki enjoys quality time with her husband, 4 children, and their 3 dogs outside of work. Our online student government president is Eileen Moore. A determined comeback student, Eileen earned her BFA in graphic designs in 1987 from Fort Hays and owned several successful businesses, including Victrix Marketing. Eileen is pursuing a health studies degree and will graduate in December of 2026. She is currently residing in Dallas, Texas, and came up here to meet you today. And with her husband, they have recently embraced the role of empty nesters as their son headed to Kansas to study informatics at Fort Hays State University. Our on-campus student body president is Jackson Sinsel, and he's returned to our leadership team after serving 2 years as the SGA treasurer. He's pursuing a double major in political science and psychology. Jackson is committed to his studies and is actively involved in a variety of leadership positions across campus. As we embark on this academic year, I sincerely thank these remarkable leaders. Their combined energy, talents, and diverse perspectives are vital to our university's success. Together, we'll navigate a path ahead with purpose and resolve, ensuring a bright future for our university. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you, President Mason. President Muma.
Good afternoon, Regents, Mr. Chair. 2 things. First of all, I'd like to recognize our Vice President for Student Affairs, Dr. Terry Hall, who is retiring from that role after 9 years. She was here earlier. She's not here this afternoon, but I want to thank her for her service.
Absolutely.
All right, in honor of the 100th anniversary of the Board of Regents, I'd like to read something to you commemorating the 100th anniversary of the Kansas Board of Regents in recognition of a century of leadership, service, and commitment to advancing higher education in the state of Kansas. Presented with honor at the Kansas Board of Regents meeting celebrating 100 years of excellence, the 17th day of September in the year 2025, with appreciation from Wichita State University. I'm going to give this certificate for you all to have for your archives.
It's greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. President Muma, appreciate it. Other introductions, President Hush.
Good afternoon, everyone. Would like to introduce our shared governance parties that are here today, and a few will be speaking. Representing our faculty senate, Dr. Shelley Rowley. If you could please stand, Shelley. She's a professor and program coordinator of applied sociology and applied criminology, and she's been with the university for 13 years. Thank you. Associated Student Government, Aswad Arif. This is his 2nd term, by the way. And so he also serves as the chair of Student Advisory Council and his 4th year at ESU. Thank you. Computer science major.
Yeah.
Vice President Josh Monahan. Josh here today? Okay. He's a business admin major. Moving on to Staff Senate, President Cassie Deeker. She's administrative specialist for finance. And Vice President Kyle Markowitz. He's supervisor in our residential life. Thank you.
Good. You're welcome. Thank you, President Hush. Other introductions this morning? Yes, President Newsom.
I waited till last so I could see how it was done. I'm not gonna do very well considering. So a couple of new names to Pittsburgh State that aren't able to join us today, but we have a new faculty senate president, Dr. David Weaver. Dr. Weaver, an assistant instructional professor in accounting. And we have a new general counsel, Jamie Cook, and they're both back in Pittsburgh. Also have two representatives here from our Student Government Association, and that is our Student Government Association President, Senior Corey Humble, who is a pre-med communications major, and our Vice President, who is a junior, Daryl McLeod. He is a communications and business major. Thank you all for being here. Also, would like to also just publicly acknowledge and thank Dr. Sean Nacarado, who will be leaving our institution. He is the Vice President for Research and Economic Development and has been very instrumental in some of the amazing things that have happened at our institution and in our city over the last few years. So I know he was here earlier. I don't know if he's still here or not, but would like to just publicly thank him for his service, not only to Pittsburgh State, but to Pittsburgh, Kansas, and to our state in general. So thank Dr. Nacarado.
Other introductions this afternoon. Would also recognize that we also have President Julianne Mazachek from Washburn, right back here. Great to see you, President Mazachek. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, moving on, the report from the chair. As I mentioned, it has been a busy summer. Thank you again to President Linton. Thank you to you and your team for hosting us for our planning retreat. Always a great opportunity to see the K-State campus. Later on, we had a special meeting on September 3rd to appoint members to the Emporia State Presidential Search Committee and approve a charge for the committee. And we're extremely grateful to all of the members of that committee for agreeing to serve. They're an extremely highly qualified group of individuals led by Search Committee Chair Jim Kessler, who will be working hard over the next several months to identify a list of finalists for our consideration. So thank you again to everyone serving on that committee, including our own Regent Parasker and President Flanders. Thank you both for serving and look forward to that. Last week, I had an opportunity to attend a meeting of the Literacy Advisory Committee in Pittsburgh, along with a number of you as well. And it's clear that our higher education system is working diligently to support teachers across the state in implementing science-based methods of teaching reading. And this important work will continue to lead to critical improvements in reading skills for Kansas students. And just wanted to say on behalf of the board, thanks to all of the leaders from the legislature, K-12, and our system who are collaborating to drive progress on this initiative. As you've all noticed, the September board packet is it's pretty full. It's always a busy one. Always includes important items like our system's budget request and approval of our annual goals. And as already been mentioned before, this is a special meeting because it's also the 100th birthday of the Kansas Board of Regents. I think we look pretty good for 100. But later this afternoon around 3:30, we'll have a reception. We'll have a lot of former regents that will be here, also some former CEOs. We'll have a brief program, and then just look forward to looking back on the creation of the board, where we're headed, and appreciate all those that are a part of that reception later on. So encourage you to stick around at 3:30. And that will conclude my chair's report. We'll move on now to President's report from President Flanders.
Thank you, Chair Benson. It's good to start another year. And I wanted to just take a moment to recognize Warren Corman, who passed away late last month at the age of 99, and his celebration of life is being held this afternoon. He was our architect, and several of you know who Warren Corman is, but he graduated in architectural engineering from the University of Kansas. And early in his career, working for the state architect, he designed some significant projects for state universities, including Allen Fieldhouse, Ahern Fieldhouse, student unions at Kansas State and Fort Hays, and Cram Science Hall at Emporia. In '66, he became the first architect for the Board of Regents, working here for 31 years, participating in over 4,500 interviews, selecting professional architects and engineers for all types of state university construction projects. During his tenure in '93, he also served as the interim director of the board office. He later joined the University of Kansas staff. And so I just wanted to recognize Warren for all his contributions and just appreciate everything he did for our system. Second, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and lo and behold, our own Dr. Sherry Utash from WSU Tech was featured on Mike Rowe's The Way I Heard It podcast. And I just thought a tremendous promotion for our system. I don't know how many people listen to that podcast, but it's really popular. She really talked about transforming WSU Tech and the college into a national model for workforce development, the importance of skilled trades in shaping America's future, and just a great discussion between those two about valuing the trades and instilling professionalism that can transform the lives of so many. So I wanted to be sure and recognize Dr. Utash, and thank you, Dr. Muma, for helping to assist that model. It's been a tremendous partnership at Wichita State. And then finally, you might have noticed we have some new artwork in our space here. And last year, we commissioned that through our micro internship program. There's a map that's hanging behind the front desk. And that was created by a student at Johnson County Community College. And that was Jenna Lindsay. So Mickey, you might say thank you to Jenna Lindsay. We're excited about that micro internship program and the opportunities that it gives to students. Then we have a second piece, as you notice that from out here, a map that was created called Shared Horizons. It was created by a graduate student at Wichita State that got their undergraduate at Kansas State. And the physical production of those pieces was done by Go Create at Wichita State University. They made a inlay the board logo. You see the board logo up there hanging just inside the front door outside of a native Kansas wood species. And we're proud of the artwork. We're proud of our students and the programs that we have to help those students in our system. So when we go out into the lobby, I encourage you to all take a look at that artwork. Thank you.
Thank you, President Flanders. Any questions for President Flanders? All right. Well, those of you that are regulars to these meetings know that we always carve out time to hear collectively from our faculty and our students, and the representative from each of those over the next year will both come from Emporia State University. So first of all, to present our report from the Council of Faculty Senate Presidents, it's my pleasure to call up to the mic Rochelle Rowley. So welcome, Rochelle.
Thank you, and thank you for the ability to speak to the board. My update is short. We are working with Rusty Monholland on a workload policy. It will take a little bit longer than we wanted, but we will get it done. And then Norman Phillips, who was in my position last year, is still working on analyzing data concerning a faculty tuition proposal. The goal is to present that to COCO and COBO in November. And then COFEPS will be meeting with key individuals with the International Baccalaureate High School programs, because it is our responsibility to evaluate those programs this year. So we'll find out what all we have to do next month. Thank you.
Thank you, President Rowley. Any questions? All right, thank you again. And representing the Students Advisory Committee report is Student Government President from the Emporia State Campus, Aswad Zaran. Come on up, President Zaran. Hope your fall semester is going well. Welcome.
It is. Thank you so much, Chair Benson, Regents. It's wonderful to see everybody. First of all, I want to say I am super lucky and glad that I'm getting to serve with this amazing cohort of student leaders. I would like to invite everybody. Would you please stand as you're able and be recognized? Please join me in giving them a big round of applause for the work that we're working on. Thank you. Also, thank you to Chair Benson for joining us for SAC retreat that happened in Emporia State. We had a wonderful time. We took some golf carts, had a chance to tell the student leaders about our wonderful campus. It was raining, but everybody was up for it, so we had a great time. Just to give you a couple of updates, our meeting today, we had a special meeting, sort of. We had a joint meeting with the Council of Student Affairs Officers. And the reason we wanted to have this meeting, of course, thank you to Dr. TK and all the members so that we were able to get that going, is so that we could start being more collaborative as we go forward about thinking about higher education. And some of the agenda items that we will be considering. We had some really great discussions about students, about what we can do within our own campuses and how can we put the focus back to students as KBOR is focused on to help support student resources. And lastly, we're really looking forward to having breakfast with everybody, all the board, tomorrow morning at 8:30. Thank you so much for carving out the time to meet with us so early in the year. So we're excited about that. So that's my update.
Thank you, President Zaran. Any questions? Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Obviously, as I shared with that group, the students are the reason that we are all here and why we do what we do. So thank you so much, and thank you for letting me join you virtually for that meeting a couple of weeks ago, because President Newsom had a groundbreaking on the Pitt State campus on the same day. So I appreciate you inviting me to be a part of that. All right, moving into our standing committee reports. First of all, representing academic affairs, Regent Johnston, thank you for stepping up to lead BASC over the next year. And with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chair Benson. We've got two meetings to report on. One was held September 3rd. That was a virtual meeting. We reviewed a new program proposal for an MS in computational biology at KU and voted to place that on the board's consent agenda. This program will require no new faculty and will provide an exit point for PhD students who decide not to continue further in the program, and it will provide a credential to students for coursework that they've already completed. We also reviewed a new program proposal for an AAS in food and feed manufacturing from K-State. Though the state universities are generally discouraged from proposing new associate degree programs, K-State indicated that they were approached by industry to offer the program. The program proposal was first reviewed by BASC on May 28th, at which time we tabled it, requesting K-State work with the community colleges on an articulation agreement to better serve our Kansas students and industry. Specifically, we will recommend they work with Cali County Community College, which offers a certificate in this area. Faculty and administrators from K-State and Cali did meet last month. An articulation agreement is under consideration. I believe there is a draft. And due to the unique nature of the program, BASC approved a proposal to go on the board discussion agenda. K-State also submitted another new degree proposal to the board office, along with a waiver request, which was discussed at the virtual meeting. Essentially, K-State requests a waiver of board policy requiring 120 hours for a baccalaureate degree, as they are proposing a 90-hour Bachelor of Applied Science in Uncrewed Aircraft Systems. There is no existing board policy on reduced credit hour degrees. So granting the waiver would enable the K-State proposal for the reduced credit hour bachelor's in applied science to follow the standard approval process for new degree proposals for state universities. This would be done before we could create the policy that would establish some guardrails around these new degrees. So BASC opted to defer to the full board for consideration of the waiver request, and that is on tomorrow's discussion agenda. BASC would like to recommend that no action be taken on the waiver tomorrow, but we recommend that staff form a working committee with all sectors represented on the working committee that would develop a policy regarding the reduced credit hour baccalaureate degree. Director Sam Christie Dangermond reviewed recommended changes to the accreditation policy based on the passage of Senate Bill 78 last spring. She also gave a report on institutional and program accreditation. Basque is moving those items forward to the full board, both on tomorrow's discussion agenda. Vice President Monholland provided an update on the ongoing review of tenure, post-tenure, and workload policies initiated earlier this year by Basque. VP Monholland met with Provost and Faculty Senate Presidents to gather input. A draft workload policy informed by research from other states includes new provisions aimed at reinforcing the board's commitment to tenure. It was recently shared with Provost and Faculty Senate Presidents, and a joint review meeting was scheduled for earlier today. VP Monholland plans to schedule another meeting virtually as soon as possible to discuss the feedback. The revised policy may be presented to Basque on November 4th with potential board consideration in November. Today's meeting, much less full. So today we met. We did approve adding GED cut scores to the system-wide placement measures for Gateway Math and English courses. Before we had no cut scores for the GED. This addition will help expand access to higher education by preventing eligible adult learners from some homeschooled students from being required to take additional placement exams for placement into these courses. Thank you to Director Christy Dangermond for putting together this report for me, and I would be happy to stand for questions.
All right, thanks so much, Regent Johnston. Any questions, any feedback related to the Basque report? Well, thank you again for stepping up to lead academic affairs over the next year. Thank you as well to Regent Dicus for stepping up to lead the Fiscal Affairs and Audit Committee. And with that, turn it over to you for your standing report.
Chairman Benson, thank you. Big shoes to fill after your tenure last year, so I'll see if we can get that taken care of this year. Yeah, we had two meetings also. Our first was a agenda meeting on the 2nd of September this year. And then we had our first in-person committee meeting this morning with campus representatives and student government leadership joining us this morning. Yeah, first item on the agenda this morning, we received the results of an external management review for Fort Hays State University from Mike Lowry of AGH. This is an audit that is conducted in accordance with board policy that reviews such items every 8 years or when there is an administrative change. And fortunately for Fort Hays, this was an 8-year review. We are pleased that in the report, there were no issues identified in the case, and we thank all of the Fort Hays staff for their cooperation, their assistance in gathering all the information and data through interviews. Next up during the year, Pitt State with their administrative change will undergo an audit. Emporia State and KU will also be up for reviews this year. This morning, the committee approved the work plan and agenda for the committee for the year. In addition to that, we heard from the Kansas Board of Regents Director of Finance, Becky Potabom, presented the internal audit for the alumni account. All transactions in fiscal year 2025 were found to have been made in accordance with the policy. And Becky also presented the board office budget for fiscal year 2026. The committee reviewed those items on the month's board agenda, the consent agenda, and the discussion items, and all were received. We approved all of those items. The committee also received an update on distributions for Excel and CTE and the potential for covering a portion of the shortfall in paying the state aid from those appropriations. The big item on the agenda this morning was the discussion of the board's unified appropriation request. And when we get to that item on the board's agenda, Mr. Chairman, the Fiscal Affairs Committee has a recommendation for the board to consider. The committee's budget request is the culmination of a process from which proposals came in from across the system of 32 institutions, the Technical Education Authority and the board office. Continuing with our discussion at the budget workshop in late July. I again want to thank all of the campus colleagues for their advocacy, We have had a remarkable run of improved state support for our students over the years. The budget for fiscal affairs that they are proposing does not contain everything everyone asked for, but it contains those items that make the most impact on our state's workforce, our student success, and the energy needs of the state of Kansas. And with that, I turn it back to you.
Thank you so much, Regent Dicus. Any questions? All right, thanks so much. I'll deliver the Governance Committee report. Governance Committee met this morning and reviewed the committee's work plan for the year. The committee then reviewed board members' conflict of interest disclosures and made recommendations to the board, which are on tomorrow's agenda to address any actual or perceived conflicts. Finally, the committee authorized board staff to draft amendments to board regulations governing the Kansas Nursing Service Scholarship Program. The amendments will remove outdated eligibility restrictions and make other technical changes that were needed. And those will be presented to the board for its consideration when staff have completed the necessary steps in the state's formal rulemaking process. So with that, we'll move on to the consent agenda. We'll ask for any discussion, any questions related to the consent agenda. We'll note that I will be recusing myself from voting on the memorandum of understanding between Pittsburg State University and Pittsburg State, the Kansas National Education Association. So I'll request that the board authorize Vice Chair Mendoza to execute the MOU on my behalf. But any other discussion related to the consent agenda? And if not, would entertain a motion to approve.
I would move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, we have a motion by Vice Chair Mendoza, second by Regent Dicus. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Consent agenda is approved. Moving on to our discussion agenda. The first is the Faculty and Staff of the Year Awards. This marks an exciting expansion of our recognition program. In addition to honoring tenured and tenure track faculty, we now include awards for full-time non-tenure track faculty and staff. This change reflects the board's commitment to recognizing the full spectrum of contributions that make our institutions thrive. I don't have to tell anybody in here, faculty and staff are both essential to the success of our students. Faculty guide academic learning and conduct research that drives innovation and economic growth, and staff provide leadership, support, and operational excellence that create welcoming and effective environments for students, faculty, and the broader campus community. As Regents, we feel that we are fortunate to get to meet faculty and staff across the system and learn firsthand about their work. These awards allow us to formally recognize some of the outstanding individuals whose efforts truly uplift our institutions and communities. So to facilitate this, the Regents ask the faculty senates at each state university and KUMC to nominate up to 3 faculty members, one tenure track, and one non-tenure track for the Kansas Board of Regents Faculty of the Year Award. And similarly, institutions were invited to nominate one individual for the Staff of the Year Award. Now, we as board members receive the nominations in June. Before we take it up for a vote, would any of the regents like to make any comments?
Chair Benson?
Yes, Regent Johnston.
I would just like to say on behalf of the academic affairs, we greatly want to thank all of you for your dedication, hard work, and expertise. The work that you do to help our students and improve our system and our state. So congratulations to all of you. Makes us all proud.
Yeah, well said. Any other comments this afternoon? If not, would ask for a motion to approve the Faculty of the Year Award recipients.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Regent Johnston.
Second.
Yes, second by, I think you were scooped by Regent Amar. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So we are honored to now recognize these exceptional individuals. So I would ask Vice President Monholland to introduce each of the Faculty and Staff of the Year awardees. I know that most of them are here and several of them brought family and friends with them. So welcome to all of you. If you're able to come forward and receive your award when Vice President Monholland introduces you, we would appreciate the opportunity to recognize you. So Vice President Monholland.
Thank you, Chair Benson. Are you coming around? It is indeed my pleasure to introduce our recipients for this year Faculty of the Year Awards. I'm going to go by institution, tenured, tenure track, and non-tenure track. First, from Fort Hays State University in the tenured category, Dr. Lacey Bartlett, Professor of English. Dr. Bartlett, if you would come forward when we call your name. Is she's not here? Okay. Dr. Jennifer Bashar in the tenure track category, Assistant Professor of Pedagogy, PK-12 Teaching and Coaching. That's good. Thank you. Also from Fort Hays State University, non-tenure track, Dr. Linda Mayer, Instructor of Education, English as a Second Language. From Kansas State University in the tenured category, Dr. Gabe Kerr, Professor of Mathematics. Also from Kansas State University in the tenure track category, Dr. Logan L. Britton, Assistant Professor in Agricultural Economics. And finally, from Kansas State in the non-tenure track category, Chad Bailey, Instructor in Electronic and Computer Engineering. Now from the University of Kansas, Dr. Vitaly Chernetsky, a professor in Slavic, German, and Eurasian studies. Also from the University of Kansas in the non-tenure track category, Dr. David O. Johnson, Associate Teacher, Teaching Professor in Electrical Engineering and Computer Science. From the University of Kansas Medical Center in the tenure track category, Dr. Sufi Thomas, Associate Professor of Otolaryngology. Again, from the Medical Center in the tenure track position, Dr. Dinesh Muda Ranthakam, Assistant Professor in Biostatistics and Data Science. And finally, from the Medical Center in the non-tenure track category, Dr. Lori Steen, Clinical Assistant Professor in Occupational Therapy Education. From Pittsburgh State University, Dr. Karen Johnson, Professor of Nursing in the tenure category. From Pittsburgh State University in the tenure track category, Dr. Megan Westhoff, Assistant Professor in Communication. Finally, from Pittsburgh State University in the instructor category, Dr. Christopher Maharis, Instructor of Chemistry. From Wichita State University in the tenure category, Dr. Lisa Parcell, Associate Professor of Communication. In the tenure track category from Wichita State University, Dr. Aaron O'Brien, Assistant Professor of Communication Sciences and Disorders. And from Wichita State University in the non-tenure track category, Marco Hernandez, Assistant Teaching Professor of Print Media. To the Staff of the Year Awards, as this was a new category this year, not all institutions were able to get nominations in, but I am pleased that 3 of our institutions were able to. First, from Kansas State University, Richard Beckett, Director of Infrastructure Security Architecture. From Pittsburgh State University, Jamie Rank, Director of Student Financial Assistance. And from Wichita State University, Dr. Christopher Leonard, Director of Counseling and Psychological Services. I'd like to extend my congratulations to all of our recipients and thank them for all that they do on behalf of the state and especially for the students. Congratulations.
Chair Benson?
Yes,
If
absolutely.
if I could have a point of personal privilege. Dr. Logan Britton, Assistant Professor at K-State, he grew up in our little community of Bartlett, Kansas. The only thing in Bartlett is a co-op and a school. And my daughter spent a lot of time with Logan. I don't know if he's out there, but he and his twin sister McKenna. As a matter of fact, I had Logan. I was his teacher in Vacation Bible School. That's probably why he's so darn successful today. Actually, I think he ran away. That's how much he liked it. But anyway, thank you to Logan. You make all of us in Lebec County look good.
All right. Thank you, Regent Johnston. And I had a similar experience. One of the distinguished faculty we just recognized was our student intern at the Pittsburgh Chamber, and Dr. Westhoff. So we all have that moment when we realize we're old. You all just got to experience it with me, so I appreciate that. But again, congratulations to all of our award recipients, and thank you to those that nominated them, because we know a lot of work went into that as well. So moving on, we'll now call on Provost Mendez to introduce an act to approve an AAS in food and feed manufacturing from K-State. Welcome, Provost Mendez.
Oh, okay. All right. I have the impossible task of following the celebration of faculty and staff. Thank you, members of the board. On behalf of Kansas State University, I'm honored to present our request to establish an Associate of Applied Science in Food and Feed Manufacturing. This proposal reflects our land-grant mission, serving Kansas families, supporting Kansas businesses, and advancing the state's agricultural economy. The demand for skilled professionals in supervisory, operational, and technical roles in milling, baking, feed, and pet food is significant. While K-State already leads in training industry leaders, this program directly addresses the critical workforce gap with practical applied education. Housed in the Department of Grain Science and Industry, for which we hope to change its name, that's a conversation for another day, to the Department of Grain and Food Science, the curriculum will include feed processing and safety, food quality control, manufacturing systems, and equipment operations. Delivered in a hybrid format, it will serve both working professionals and new students. The question is as far as why the one-time exception to ask a four-year institution to deliver an associate's degree. There's two reasons. One is that we have unmatched facilities to offer the appropriate training for this. A couple of our facilities is the Krause Feed Technology Innovation Center, the Hal Ross Flour Mill, and the Cargill Feed Safety Research Center. We also are blessed with talented faculty led by Dr. Chad Polk and supported by experts in milling, baking, feed, food safety, and animal sciences. K-State is uniquely positioned to offer this degree. We followed through with the direction given by Regent Johnston. We did reach out to Cowley. We delivered the first draft of the articulation agreement as of August 29th, and we continue conversations. I anticipate we will be building in definitely one credential of theirs, possibly two, as we bring this to conclusion overall. With that, I stand for any questions that you may have.
Okay. Any questions, any additional input at all, Regent Johnston? I know Basque has looked at this quite a bit.
I just want to thank everybody for their work, and I think the collaboration is really important, and it strengthens your program and certainly strengthens the ability for students to be able to have a seamless path and also to help business and industry. So we're proud of what y'all have done.
Appreciate Regent Johnson. We look forward to continue to work with President Schoon.
Yeah, would echo that. All right, any other questions, any discussion? If not, would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Regent Johnston, second by Regent Amar. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, motion approved. Thanks so much, Provost Mendez. Next up, we have three items related to fiscal affairs and audit. Would ask Vice President Frisbee to come on down and discuss and act on the board's unified state appropriations request. Regent Dicus, I think you did a good job of teeing up that conversation, but would encourage you to offer any other comments before Vice President Frisbee walks us through the recommendation. Smart man. Sounds like it's yours, Vice President Frisbee.
All right, thank you very much. So Regents, many of you will recall a discussion we had back at the June board meeting where you had a preview of a list of items. There were a variety of topics brought forth by the institutions. It is your role to advocate on behalf of the system. And so in order to do that, you've got to garner ideas from the field as to what might be included. Subsequent to that, there have been a lot of discussions with policymakers, and we know from information provided by legislative staff as to the status of the state budget, our spending is a little bit higher than our projected revenues, and so we are going to be in the next few years coming to a point where perhaps there is an adequate resource to cover what commitments have been made for the rest of the state budget. So in light of that, at the board retreat, you then talked about the different items that were presented by the Tech Ed Authority and the four-year universities and two-year colleges and our board office. And from other discussions with some of the universities who have refined their list down even further, I think the Fiscal Affairs has a proposal to generate for you to consider. And Steve, if you'll pull that file up for me. Of course, we're referencing the information starting on page 118 of the board agenda. In order to understand the board's, the fiscal affairs proposal for $40.3 million, the context upon which that would be placed then is we try to array that out for you in the tables that are provided in the agenda materials. So $40 million added to what? And in the budget process, there is a back and forth with the Division of Budget, who sets the rules for us as state agencies as to what we can request in our ongoing base for the coming year, and then what must be categorized as an enhancement. So all of the state universities have submitted budgets to the Division of the Budget and to legislative staff that include just their base request. And that the state general fund amounts are just what they were allowed to request. Anything above that then will appear in the board office request as an enhancement, and we will submit that by October 1st. So we are looking for board approval of a proposal today. So just for fiscal year 2026, the current year, we as a system collectively were we were approved for $1.182 billion, and we also received $14 million for a pay plan. So as state agencies did participate in the legislative pay plan for 2.5%. But from that base for 2026, $50 million was removed from our base. Now, the number we talked about at the retreat was $62 million. That number was since reduced, so $12 million was put back for the 3 regional state universities. So just to be clear on that, so that table you see on page 122 has been updated. So does that table on page 122 then, the fiscal affairs request for an additional $40 million on top of that would still mean that the board's request for 27 is roughly $4.6 million less than what we were approved for this year. So not an increase in sum total. The items that are being proposed for consideration, first, of course, asking the legislature to continue some of our success and our momentum around capital renewal. And the university is going to give you a very brief overview of their Campus Restoration Act plans for the next coming years. So asking the legislature to meet their commitment that they made in 2024 with their Senate Bill 18. Asking the legislature to continue our financial aid programs at the board office and the universities. Asking the legislature to continue to fund the 2-year college, the instructional cost model for tiered, non-tiered, and Excel and CTE. Those amounts are pending. We don't know what those calculations are yet, so we don't know what that amount will be. But we will know in time for our November budget appeal. And then continuing the board's success, all the initiatives and the policies that you've adopted to improve student outcomes. There is a request in there then that we would continue what we receive in 26 for 2027. And then adding funding for some college, so Kansans with some college and no degree, $2 million. $5.5 million for continuing the blueprint for literacy. If you remember, we received $10 million in 25. We didn't receive anything for 26, so we're living off of some of the carryover and then restoring that at $5.5 million. And then thinking about the future energy needs of our state, $15 million for each of the $3 million, $5 million apiece for the 3 research universities. And then lastly, $1.5 million for Washburn University, somewhat akin to what the state universities at the regional level have been benefiting from. So all that to say, a $40 million request would be put forth if the full board adopted the fiscal affairs proposal.
Thank you, Vice President Frisbee. Yes, Regent Dykes.
To add one thing, just for those looking at this, they might be wondering where the regional universities are. You might add, where they were baked into the budget in a recurring aspect.
Yes, so with that change made by the Division of Budget allocation, then it doesn't have to appear in this list because it's baked into the base request that they have already submitted to Division of Budget.
You're on that.
I think it's important to highlight, so I appreciate you saying that.
With,
Well, yes, yes, Regent Wolfmore. I think he was going to make a motion. Yeah.
I was just going to speak up on behalf of Blueprint for Literacy. I think it's I know we did not, were successful in getting any funds for that last year, but I think it's foundational to everything we do as the Board of Regents. On one hand, we have the the enrollment cliff that we have to worry about not having as many students come into the system. On the other hand, we have this pipeline that we have to fill for business and industry. So we have to have more prepared students. And from what I've read, this is not just a Kansas problem. This is a nationwide problem. And some states are putting in a lot more money than we do. So I think that we have to approve this blueprint for literacy and go after it with a vengeance to the state legislature. Thank you.
President Flanders.
Yeah, I think it's important to acknowledge that these initiatives, that this is the state general fund to ask for these initiatives, but the initiatives are much larger. So if we look at that Kansas Campus Restoration Act, there's a state funded portion, but I do want to recognize, and I know Chad's going to do this later, the efforts that are made by the universities and colleges that they put towards that funding that's above and beyond that. That's a partnership that functions when both parties are participating. It's true on the student financial aid. I know our foundation partners help with each student, and that need-based aid is a part of the award and can really enhance those gifts. And I also want to mention the Blueprint for Literacy. That funding there is short of what the Literacy Task Force is calling for. This funding likely could cover some of those training costs that's going to be required. But there's going to be 3 or 4 million that universities must contribute to reform and enhance some of our programming that we have today. So I think it's important to note that that might not be the total bill. We're not asking for everything. We're asking for a portion and a partnership. And we've done that in almost every ask here.
I would just add, Vice President Frisbee, thank you to you and President Flanders for your work on this. This is probably the 34th version of the budget document. Thank you, Regent Dicus, you in Fiscal Affairs. Thank you for all your efforts on this. And last but certainly not least, thank you to our institutions. You started this process, the discussions earlier this year. You know, we discussed it, or you brought them to us in June. We had a robust conversation at the planning retreat. It also involved your government relations folks. And the message was loud and clear that this budget needed to look much more like this year. And I'm proud of where we are to still be able to fund the crucial student success measures that are clearly paying off. We're seeing those in the numbers to be able to continue the blueprint and some other successful initiatives. And at this point, to actually be less than we received last year is a result of a lot of hard work. So thank you to everybody that was a part of that. Any other feedback, any questions? If not, entertain a motion to approve.
With that, I was going to say all those same things, so you said it better than I could. But yeah, I want to say thank you to all the university presidents and chancellor. Yeah, Jeff's getting demoted here, at this very moment, but to the CFOs for all your hard work in putting this budget together. Yeah, but I also want to give a special shout out and recognition to Chairman Benson with the process that we've gone through this year, working with the state leaders from the state budget director to the governor, to the Speaker of the House, to the President of the Senate. Yeah, this is something we've tried to vet with them this year to make sure that we get it across the finish line. So Chairman Benson, Vice Chairman Mendoza, thank you for your efforts in coordinating that with all of those individuals. So with that, I would make a motion on behalf of the Fiscal Affairs and Audit Committee for a approval of the Regents Unified Appropriation Request for fiscal year 2027.
That's a motion well said. Do I hear a second? Regent?
I will second.
Okay, Regent Prasker, seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Motion is approved. All right, moving on now to the Campus Restoration Act plans. We're going to hear 6 different presentations today. Would ask, I know this is going to be tough, but we're going to try to limit these to 6 minutes apiece, I believe. But I believe, first of all, Director Bristow is going to tee that up for us. So welcome, Chad.
Thank you, Chair Benson. Just to begin with here, we'll have a short introductory slide presentation prior to the universities presenting their plans. But this, of course, is the discussion item number 2 for fiscal affairs and audit on page 123. It's for the universities to present their 6-year campus restoration plans as required by statute. A little background, the board originally approved the allocation for the Campus Restoration Act for FY26 last December, based on the standard formula used to allocate the Educational Building Fund. Then in May this year, the board revised that allocation proportionately based on the 2025 legislature's action to reduce the amount of state funding that was being planned for that act in this fiscal year. The board's approval of those allocations was contingent upon the review and approval of these state university plans that you'll see today for the multi-year project plans. And in these plans, they will identify how they intend to prioritize the funds over that 6-year term. On page 128, you will see lists of projects by university. These entail specific projects as well as project categories that they will be focusing on those over the full term. And as can be expected for campuses that include aging facilities, the expectation is that these will need to be revised over the years to address emergent needs. So the recommendation, just to recap here, the recommendation for today is for approval of the university's plans as submitted, as well as consideration to continue utilizing the allocation formula for subsequent years of the Restoration Act funding. And before, just to click through here, I want to set context briefly. Get this to work. Here we go. I think it's obvious to all that the facilities initiative is due to insufficient investment in facilities renewal and maintenance over many decades. There's many reasons for that. And so what this has resulted in is several outdated facilities and underperforming facilities on the university campuses. It's a very common pattern nationwide. Kansas is no different when it comes to aging university facilities. Significant backlog and renewal, you can see over time. As of last year's report, we were looking at $1.57 billion in renewal needs to get to a state of good repair. Now that's compared to a $2.98 billion backlog for mission critical buildings that would be a mint condition calculation. And we've equated to that over the years as kind of restoring a classic car, rebuilding it, to an impeccable level. That's not what we're aiming for from a practical consideration. What we're aiming for is safe, structurally sound, functional, reasonably efficient. Where Kansas is unique is how the board and the universities are approaching addressing this issue. In 2021, the board adopted a new facilities policy, and a main conceptual feature of that is a maintenance assessment. And the concept being that the universities would provide facilities data that could estimate a replacement value of their mission critical facilities every year, and then calculate a 2% of that replacement value reinvestment for each year. And what that would do is stem the tide of additional deferred renewal and backlog, and then over time, ultimately get that portfolio to a state of good repair. And then one thing to note, that is a significant investment. And so what you'll see here is the board of the universities agreed to a gradual incremental increase from a 0.25% in FY23 up to a 2% in FY28. You can see that's a significant amount of annual investment. But over that time, the legislature supported the KBOR Facilities Initiative with individual appropriations in FY '23, '24, and '25 to the tune of approximately $100 million over those 3 years. As President Flanders mentioned earlier, that required a one-for-one match for a lot of that new money, new state money. 75 million of that required it. 25 million was specifically dedicated to the raising of obsolete facilities. So together that represented approximately $100 million in those 3 years. But then as Vice President Frisbee characterized to committee this morning, we are looking at Facilities Initiative 2.0 with the legislature's enactment of the Campus Restoration Act in the '24 session, which is a long-term funding effort from FY '26 to 31 that provides additional money for renewal as well as raising and demolition facilities. This also benefits the coordinated institutions. And so you can see here over the 6 years, it would realize $177.7 million. That's with a reduced amount in FY '26 due to $2.5 million reduction, and then $16 million for the coordinated institutions. So over time, by FY '28, the projected calculation for the maintenance assessment would equate to approximately $180 million for the university's mission-critical facilities. And you can see with the Educational Building Fund, which is a long-standing, stable source of state funding for the university facilities, as well as the new Campus Restoration Act, universities would still be looking for $90 million in resources annually to reinvest to get to a best practices investment level for facilities. So far in the first 3 years, there's been amazing progress. The universities are executing more projects than ever. They've planned or raised 28 facilities in that time, avoided $108 million in backlog, not including operating cost savings, and reduced their campus footprint by 680,000 square feet. And unless there's any questions, I will turn it over to David Vranikar to begin the university presentations.
Any questions before we begin the presentation? All right. Yes, Regent Wolf-Moore.
Not a question, just a comment. I would like to thank the legislature also. It was unsure whether we were going to get any money in that, the 30 million at all, and they did decide to reinvest. So, for any of them might be listening, I'd like to thank them publicly, and in particular, Senator Bellinger, who has led the effort to help us with this very, very worthy, needed fund. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. All right, Mr. Vranikar, you are up.
Thank you, Regents and Chad. I haven't been here, I think, for 6 months, and then I get to be first up. I like that. I'm David Vranikar. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at the University of Kansas, and I'm going to do a very rapid-fire overview of a few highlights pertaining to deferred maintenance and the Restoration Act at both the Ed Center and the Lawrence campus. So, okay, I'm going to start with the medical center, and I'm going to highlight just 3 examples. Elaine asked us to sort of show some, for instance, things that we have done on the campuses and some of the highlights of that. I'm not going to read all these words. There are too many words on the page. If I'd have had more time, I would have written less. But a few highlights. The first one is part of a very important initiative at the medical center, which is to raise or demolish a number of buildings on the south end of our campus. There's a street called Olathe Boulevard, and we have 5 university buildings along that street that are old and tired, and we are strongly endeavoring to take them down. The first one up is this Olathe, it's called Olathe Pavilion. We have now essentially mothballed that building and in preparation to demolish it. And we've moved everyone out with a few exceptions, but those are on the way soon. And then we're shutting off, everything, plumbing and everything to the building, so we don't have any problems. And then in conjunction with that building, we are preparing to exit another building on the same street adjacent to the Olathe Pavilion called Student Center. That's a larger building, and we are working now to figure out a destination location for everyone in that building. And then we will demolish both of those buildings. We can't take Olathe Pavilion down yet because there are utility lines that run between the two. And if we take down Olathe, then we have to redo a bunch of utilities to Student Center, which will cost $3 million, which makes no sense. But we're going to mothball Olathe Pavilion and then add Student Center, and that will be one project of demolition. So that will eliminate a little over $18 million in deferred maintenance, but it sets us up to go down the line from there on Olathe Boulevard to eliminate 5 buildings. And that will significantly reduce our deferred maintenance backlog and operating costs as well for utilities and everything else. So that's an active set of projects. The next one I wanted to highlight is Applegate Energy Center. We replaced boilers in that building recently. That's an $11 million project. We used a significant amount of our matching funds from the university and funds from the state to do that. Significant requirement to do that. We were not able to continue operating the campus properly with these old 30-plus-year-old boilers. That has significantly reduced our deferred maintenance in that building from 18 million to 12, almost 13 million listed on the slide is actually 10. I just got an update yesterday on that. So we saved about 8 million in deferred maintenance on that. We still have electrical and water distribution systems that go there, fire controls, cooling tower, other things. So there's still deferred maintenance in the building, but it's significantly down and the integrity of our campus is significantly up. Taylor Building is not on that same boulevard as the others that I'm talking about, Olathe Pavilion and others. But this is one we've already taken down. We use state demolition funds for this. It was an old dormitory that was way past its end of useful life. And that one you see in the photos, the upper left is what the building looked like. The upper right is as it was coming down, literally. Lower left is after most of the building had been demolished, and now it's a beautiful corner on campus on a primo location that we yet don't have plans to do anything with, but it's a very strong location on our campus. So KCRA funds are absolutely critical, and I thank the Regents and the state for its commitment to provide those funds to us. It enables us to do the sort of things I just described. Going forward, a long list here of things that we will use state funding to do. And as Chad said, we put a lot of our own money in this as well. Our match is well in excess of what we've had from the state. And we're running now at KU a significant surplus, if you will, in relation to what the maintenance assessment requirement is under K-Board policy with how much we've actually spent. So we are actively working on all of these sorts of things: roofs, elevators, air handling, demolitions, et cetera. I'm going to stop there. That's the medical center. I don't know how many minutes that was, but it wasn't too many more than 5, I don't think. Any questions before I go on to the Lawrence campus? Okay.
Yes, Regent Wolfmore.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I just wondered, when does the Olathe Pavilion demolition begin?
Well, we don't have a date yet because we're not out of Student Center yet, but we're working actively on it. It will be as fast as we can possibly do it.
Thank you.
Our interests are 100% aligned between the university, I think what the board wants us to do, and what the state wants us to do. So we'll do it as quickly as we
Chair
can.
Benson, one quick question.
Go ahead.
For the boiler replacement, did we look at more holistic, like solar or other alternatives that are sustainable?
Yeah, we have done
more green.
nominal amount of solar. The economics of that aren't great. And for this, the scale of it was, it's a large, that is for the entire campus.
Not geothermal or anything like that.
Well, we looked at those and those were not in the time frame that we needed to do them with the amount of money we had and so forth. It just didn't work. But we continue to look at that and we will do that selectively as it makes sense. Thank
right,
you.
thank you very much.
Okay, sure. Okay, so I want to quickly run to the, oh, there we go. Lawrence campus now. Same sort of format, 3 examples, and then the same list of how we will use this money going forward. So the first one is Lindley Hall, which is a large building on the core of the main Lawrence campus. It is a critical building for academic programs, and it was high on our master plan that we did a few years ago in terms of the scoring of that building on the campus. It's a critical building. So we have started now and are well into a refresh of that building. A reset, I guess we called it here, even more than just a refresh. It's a significant enhancement to that building because it's a core building for multiple academic programs right in the heart of campus. So it's going to reduce deferred maintenance by $21 million at the last estimate. And I'm going to have you read the words. It's an 86,000 square foot building. Estimated cost to replace it with a new building would be somewhere in the $70 to $80 million range. So this is highly efficient from that point of view, and therefore much better than starting fresh with a brand new building. A continuation of that one, you can kind of scan here what's included. It is a significant refresh. This will be done in 2027 in time for the fall, start of the semester. Pretty much the entire infrastructure of that building is being enhanced or replaced, and we're well into that now, and will continue through 2027. Another example, we've recently or are working on a replacement restoration of a big chiller plant that serves multiple buildings on campus, and significant support for our research buildings on campus, again, right in the heart of the main campus. And it is crucial for the successful and reliable operation of multiple buildings. For those who know some of the buildings, Hayworth, Malott, Stauffer, Flint, and Wesco Halls are all served by that plant. So we're restoring that, and it will reduce deferred maintenance by about $5 million. We've spent $900 between the university and the KCRA funds, or are planning to spend. For another continuation of that project, again, just kind of, you can scan quickly to see what we're doing. It's a significant piece of work for infrastructure on the whole campus. Chillers, cooling towers, piping, plumbing, electrical upgrades, et cetera. A third example, this one's a little different. I wanted to put it in because I would put it in the category more sort of blocking and tackling. It's not a huge amount of money. It's a $600,000 project approximately, but we have countless of these. And so what this one does, and we're using KCRA money to do this with the match to cover the full cost of this one. There are inverter systems that use batteries in Strong Hall, which is the main administration building on campus. And there is an external generator in, what building are we in here? I forgot. Yeah, Snow Hall, thank you. And so we're replacing both of those with modern backup emergency generation. In the case of Strong, with an emergency generator, and getting rid of the interior generator in Snow with an exterior one. So lots and lots of these sorts of things are crucial. If we lose power, we have a serious problem with critical buildings like that. This will eliminate that for those buildings. There are many, many of those kinds of things. 600,000 here, 800 there, $500,000, those kind of projects add up to the large numbers that Chad just described. And then this is the same list as at the medical center. It's the same stuff. I imagine you'll see versions of that from my colleagues here who will come up and describe their campuses. So I will stop there. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to address any of those.
Any questions for David?
I wouldn't say specifically for KU, but I'm just gonna put it out there that AI is gonna consume a lot of electricity. Every option that we are looking at that takes in more electricity, we have to do a deeper dive on finding sustainable options for all of us. And it's coming. It'll be very fast before you know, the city may go dark. That is,
Yep,
I'm not exaggerating.
you are correct.
So
I
just
agree.
wanted to
We are
out
constantly
there.
looking at that as part of our AI initiative as well.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Trickles down into many areas.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you so much, David.
thank you.
All right, next up, David Miller from Wichita State University. Welcome, David.
Good afternoon, Regents, and thank you for the opportunity to visit with you regarding the Campus Restoration Act at Wichita State. And thank you very much for the leadership and foresight in helping to secure the funds. That's greatly appreciated, and to the legislature as well. That funding is very much needed. Wichita State's campus, our replacement value stands at $1.1 billion. Currently, our deferred maintenance stands at $260 million. Previous appropriations from the state, which we're very thankful for, involved demolition and capital renewal dollars of a little bit north of $10 million. And then the Campus Restoration Act dollars total $19.5 million to Wichita State. Those past dollars have been utilized for a variety of different projects across campus. For capital renewal, they were used for a variety of small projects related to fire alarms, pedestrian safety, roofing. I think you all recognize that the value of investments in roofing replacements is one of the best investments that we can make through those dollars. And then going forward, a larger portion of those dollars have been dedicated to renovations at Henry and Hall. Henry and Hall is one of the oldest facilities on the campus of Wichita State. Previously, back in 1921, it was the university's gymnasium, and currently it's dedicated to the Fine Arts Department. For the demolition dollars, we have already or are currently working on demolition of a total of three buildings, 3 sectors that total $15.4 million in elimination of deferred maintenance. That includes the intensive English building, Brennan Hall 1, 2, and 3, and then Neff Hall. Neff Hall, I think, is a real success story for us. That building, when it is demolished in fiscal year 27, came about through our space utilization study. And so Neff Hall currently houses the Department of Anthropology. That department is going to be consolidated into another building with the Department of Geology. And so we kind of have 2 wins there, taking a building offline and removing the deferred maintenance, as well as capitalizing on the space utilization study. For the Campus Restoration Act, we have 9 key projects that we're looking to allocate funding to with that $19.5 million. The first will be to complete the Henry and Hall HVAC improvements that were previously mentioned, which is followed by renovations for climate-controlled storage to assist with accreditation requirements for the Ulrich Museum. We'll also be working on an important project to replace the chiller in the central energy plant. Another project related to the Ulrich Museum is renovations to the loading dock, which also is related to meeting their accreditation requirements and keeping the art out of the elements during transport. A really important project at Alberg Hall is included to renovate 4 floors after the College of Health Professions relocates to the biomedical campus, which will allow the consolidation of different departments from the College of Applied Studies, and also address the cumulative deferred maintenance that's built up in that building. And then next is an estimated $3.5 million to modernize building control systems across campus with older systems that no longer communicate with our networking. And then finally, the last 3 projects, you probably all recognize as well that elevator maintenance is incredibly expensive. And so we're looking at dedicating $2.5 million for repairs to older systems that are at their end of life. Also allocating $1.5 million for repair of centralized utility sites and utility tunnels across campus. And then finally, repair and replacement of HVAC systems at campus that are at their end of life or in very poor condition. That wraps up my presentation. Happy to stand for any questions.
Right. Any questions for David regarding the Wichita State presentation? Right. Hearing none. Thanks so much, David. All right, next up, Angela Wolgram, Emporia State University. Welcome, Angela.
Good afternoon, Regents. I'm going to spend the next couple of minutes sharing how we've been able to use our capital funding at ESU to make significant progress, but also show how important it is that we continue down this path. So on this slide here are over the past couple of years, we've been able to both sell and demo several buildings on campus. In 2022, we sold the Earl Center up there in the right-hand corner. This building was actually not on our campus. It was a couple blocks away. It housed our Jones Institute for Educational Excellence and our Counseling and Rehabilitation Center. Next in 23 and 24, we demolished with the funds that we received from the state, both Butcher and Moore Central. Taking these two buildings down reduced our total footprint by 77,000 square feet and removed over $10 million of deferred maintenance. The last buildings, Moore South and Southeast in the corner, is scheduled to be raised in the summer of 2026, removing another 66,000 square foot and another $6.4 million in deferred maintenance. Here's a look at our new nursing and student wellness building. It will be completed this spring. I want to say it's not in my notes, but we are building it with solar. So I just want to make that point out there. This will bring our upper level nursing students onto campus. This program has always been off campus in a building that was owned by our local hospital. We'll also be moving our student counseling and our student health services into this building, allowing them to complete the demo on the Moore South and Southeast, where a lot of our folks are housed right now. When we present our new campus master plan to the board in the spring, we'll be able to show how that plan allows us maximum flexibility to transform our campus, giving us several options of raising and or consolidating buildings based on the next 5 to 10 years funding and enrollment. Here's just a few pictures of some projects on campus that we've been able to complete, replacing old Federal Pacific switchboards, outdated chiller systems, leaking roofs. Those are some of the larger projects that I have pictures of, but we've also made projects on progress on tunnel piping projects, fire alarm panels, and digital access door projects. This slide is a summary of the project plans for Emporia State University over the next 6 years. With a combination of our campus restoration funds and our ESU match, we will be able to complete over $20 million in projects over the next 6 years, ranging from exterior and interior updates to electrical, plumbing, roofs, and our largest projects there in the HVAC area, mainly chillers. And finally, our final slide here, I think this chart really shows everything that we need to show. This chart really, we've been able to reduce our deferred maintenance over the past 5 years with additional funding we've received. We started with roughly $90 million of deferred maintenance in 2022 and have been steadily reducing that amount every year. Space optimization, that green trend line there, is critical. By reducing our square footage, we're eliminating future liabilities, not just current backlog. We do have to do both demo and rehab, as that's the most effective way to improve. Our annual investments, the orange bars, show that we are attacking deferred maintenance systematically and not just on isolated projects. We're actually moving the needle. So by 2026, you can see both backlog and operational footprint are significantly reduced, which positions ESU for greater financial flexibility and sustainability. We're not just receiving enough, however, we're not receiving enough to outpace further deterioration of existing buildings, but you can see that when they invest in us, we're able to leverage those dollars to really get things done.
Yes, President Flanders.
Yeah, I've noticed in your presentation specifically, and in several of them, the common thread seems to be a lot of these projects aren't very pretty.
Right.
I mean, they're not things that donors would be attracted to, but they're so critical and important. So I appreciate everyone focusing on those. And they're certainly not new facilities and shiny things, but the blocking and tackling we need to do.
Really.
Well said. Any other questions for Angela? All right, thanks so much. All right, next up from Pittsburgh State University, Doug Ball. Welcome, Doug.
Thank you. It's great to be here. All right, happy to talk about the plans for the Restoration Act funds for Pittsburgh State. Thought I'd start really with an approach description, right? As we approached how to plan for the use of these funds, we really leveraged work that we do as we're planning for all of our maintenance projects from all funding sources. That's to really think about how we can make the most progress that we can across three primary areas of focus: improving building condition, addressing the backlog of maintenance needs, but also improving utilization, improving space efficiency, but also impacting the student's experience, really meeting the facility needs of our programs and the changes that are required over time. So as we thought about all three of those categories and how to make progress against all three of them, the plans for our Restoration Act funds in a summary form look like this. One big project, a science lab project, that'll consume the bulk of those funds, but also mixing in 2 demolition projects and then 5 more typical routine maintenance projects at key buildings on campus. Let me take just a minute and talk about each of those 3 categories. You may remember the science lab project. The board approved the program statement for that work just back in the June meeting. But as a refresher, this addresses 2 of our key academic buildings on campus that house most of our science labs. That's Heckert Wells and Yates Hall. Those buildings have both maintenance needs, but also some real needs in terms of the usability of those labs for our students. So this is an opportunity to do both of those. And so we'll tackle an update to those labs themselves while also addressing many of the underlying building needs. It's a big project. It's $52 million, but it's well suited to doing in phases over a period of time. So it'll align well with both the ability to use the Restoration Act funds as well as our efforts to raise external and donor money to contribute to that project as well. And so this one will certainly impact the student experience, but also make a big dent in building condition as well. The second category were the demolition projects. Now, we did complete 2 demolitions just this past summer on campus. And so this is the next wave of that, the next phase of that. The 2 buildings we've got targeted here are the Kels Center. Kels is the home to the College of Business today. That operation will be moving downtown when the Guerrilla Pricing project is finished next summer. So I'll make that building available to demo, as well as an old building that was previously many years ago used as the Student Health Center. That's also on our radar for future demolition. So these will accomplish 2 things. It'll reduce square footage on campus, which will help us with utilization. But also, these are our 2 lowest rated in terms of building condition facilities on campus. And so they take a significant amount of deferred maintenance off the books by simply getting rid of the buildings. And then finally, the last category are the more typical or more routine projects. But as was mentioned previously, these are incredibly important to moving the needle on the condition of our buildings. And so as we've thought about how Restoration Act funds can accelerate the progress we're making with other funding sources, we've identified 4 roof projects and a boiler replacement project that will be key here as we move the needle on that. With that, I'll answer any questions you have.
Any questions for Doug? Well done. Thanks so much, Doug. All right, next up from Fort Hays State University, Wesley Winch. Welcome, Wesley.
Thank you. Nice to be with you guys today. This going to present the plan over the next 5-6 years for Fort Hays State University for our Campus Restoration Act dollars. First is this one's currently underway, the Forsyth Library renovation. This will be completed this year, and the project includes new finishes, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, and life safety systems, along with interior reconstruction. Exterior work consists of new glazing and entrance materials and limited site improvements. This project is supported. It's a $27.7 million project, but $19 million of that is supported by federal dollars. And that represents, we're taking $13 million of that to represent the match that is required for this plan going forward. So that one, come to Fort Hays here this next spring and come see our new library renovation. We'd love to show you guys around. The next one, and this was actually today on the consent agenda, to get this one started, but it's a fiscal year 26-27. It's Tamanic Hall air conditioning improvements. The project provides for replacement of the primary chiller serving the building. Work also includes a new air conditioning system for the data center, and included with these improvements is the introduction of an air-cooled ice-filled chiller with in-ground ice storage tanks. Will help us take advantage of our wind turbine system on campus to make that ice in the night when there's less demand. The next year, the project we're looking for is to do the Cunningham Hall rooftop HVAC replacements. Total project on this one's $2.8 million, of which $2.2 million will be using for the Restoration Act funding. And this project provides for the replacement of 4 existing rooftop HVAC components. These units provide cooling for conditioned areas of Cunningham Hall and are reaching end of life. And new units will be designed to take advantage of an available capacity from the new chiller we just installed on Cunningham Hall to tie into that to help with that. Moving forward, we were looking for the next year to do the Malloy Hall renovation, $6.5 million. Malloy Hall desired improvements would include improved acoustic control in offices and practice rooms, consolidation of multiple HVAC system types into a singular system type, relocated departmental offices, and improvement to the Felton Start Theater, and an enlarged building lobby space and expanded theater storage. So this would be the project we'd like to do that year for Malloy Hall. Moving forward to there in fiscal year 23, the plan is to focus on Beach Hall, which houses our Sternberg Museum. And this would include work on HVAC upgrades, improvements to the building exhaust systems, as well as associated ancillary equipment. Portions of work will require modifications to existing walls, ceilings, and finishes. The last year of because it's the end of the 6-year project, would be our Sheridan Hall Beach Schmidt Performing Arts Center. In fiscal year 31, it's a $6 million project, which we'd use a portion of the campus restoration funds to do. The existing Performing Arts Center opened 34 years ago. Improvements would target upgrades to flooring, seating, wall finishes, theatrical lighting, sound systems, improved safety systems for theater rigging, expanded reorganized equipment storage space, relocation of sound control, and lobby improvements. That's the plan right now for that one. If we were so lucky as to have this continue, just to put on there, this is not funded, but we would probably work on Custer Hall. That would probably be the next one in the cycle if we were to get the next round of funding from the legislature of this project. For the projects that were planned right now, we have about $52.4 million in deferred maintenance would be addressed by this program, of which $13 million of it is from the Kansas Restoration Act funding. So you can see we're also adding money into that to meet our deferred maintenance needs on campus. And I just appreciate your support and support of the legislature. And as we move forward, of course, we'll give you updates if anything changes.
All right. Thanks so much, Wesley. Any questions? All right. Thank you again. And serving in the closer role this afternoon, Kansas State, Ethan Erickson.
So excited to come up here and talk. I almost cut off Wesley. I know several of us have already led with this, but I want to also reinforce just a thank you, not only to the board, the legislature, but especially Senator Billinger for advocating for these dollars. Having a 6-year window of funds that we can plan is a gift. It's one that we've not had previously, and it allows us to, where K-State, how we wanted to approach it is really step back and think about how our plan lays out so that the projects we're selecting find ways to advance our strategic plan, but also align with and what you'll hear a little bit later, our new campus master plan. So it's an opportunity for us to really take a moment and think. So what we opted to do is really think about selecting a university projects, one that completes our commitment to our Ag Innovation Initiative, which is our $210 million project impacting about 7-9 different buildings on the university. But we also wanted to select something that would hopefully excite our philanthropic base to find support for those matching dollars. And then lastly, we wanted to also excite our internal stakeholders, our colleges, our departments, as they think about projects that they need within their respective spaces, how it can advance their own needs and strategic plans at their college level. So just real quick, I'll talk about where we've been with the one-time funds that we've received in the past, where we want to go with the Restoration Act and kind of our process as well. This is a quick snapshot, the last 3 fiscal years of the progress that we've made each year with the dollars that have been allocated on a one-time basis. We're extremely appreciative of those dollars, but they do come with the trappings of, we know we get it this year, but do we have it next year? That's why the Restoration Act is so phenomenal for us from a 6-year planning window. We've completed 8 demo projects, 14 more are in progress. That means we will have shrunk our mission-critical footprint by 7%. If you're familiar with the campus, that's the equivalent of Hale Library. If you believe ChatGPT and you don't know K-State's campus, that's the equivalent of 7 football fields, if you think about it from space standpoint. So huge amount of space that we've been able to take offline just with those dollars that have come in. So, and we've also tried to document each year, what's that ROI with the investment from the state, either with demo or the renovation. Each year, we've been able to demonstrate a very impactful return on that investment from the state. And then we think about where are we going with the Restoration Act and how much more we will be able to accomplish with those dollars. So like I said, we took a step back. We wanted to think about 2 tracks or just 2 different ways of thinking about those dollars. One is the first project that's really our university-wide effort that we want to focus on is renovation of the Anderson Hall, the exterior of Anderson Hall. If you're familiar with K-State, that's probably one of the most publicized images. It represents the heart of K-State, but it's also in significant need of help. And so we wanted to put dollars towards that. We also believe that's something that our philanthropy base will come back and support as well. I mentioned supporting the Ag Innovation Initiative. We would demo Schallenberger Hall and the Feed Tech, which is located right there on the heart of campus, once we complete construction of the Global Center. And that's about $4.6 million. That'll take offline a significant amount of space and eliminate some deferred maintenance. We've allocated dollars back to the Salina campus on a pro rata share. And then this last piece that we really wanted to excite our internal stakeholders is we carved out a piece where we wanted an RFP process, so a competitive process. Colleges could come together and say, or individually or together come together and say, we want to put in this project. This is what it will do for us. And so we allocated $23.8 million of the Restoration Act dollars towards that. To also increase that incentivization, we came in with additional university dollars through our academic infrastructure fee fund, as well as deferred maintenance interest earnings to create it not just a 50-50 match for those colleges, actually makes it more of a 60-40 match. So it's a real opportunity for them to come in and pitch some projects that would help. But we also wanted to do it strategically. So we thought about it from the standpoint of, for these campus projects, what's 2 tracks? So we want to make sure that whatever we're doing advances interdisciplinary research, and it also advances our student experience. So we wanted to make sure each project that we selected worked towards either one of those or both of those particular tracks. I would say we started on our process to figure out our plan well before the Restoration Act was even finalized at the legislative level. We went through an 11-month process just on the RFP. We initially started with 19 projects, totaling about $232 million worth of need that was identified. We've continued to narrow that down to 7. And actually, several of those projects, we've fully developed a program statement, and that was actually on the consent agenda for today. So we're ready to go once the board approves this plan, and we've got the dollars in hand. So I won't touch on all these, just a couple of them might just hit. So here's our full plan, both the university priorities, the campus projects that we selected, kind of how it lays out. You'll see then how we've made sure that it aligns either with the drivers of student experience or research, and then also our master plan guiding principles that were identified through the process. We want to make sure everything that we're doing aligns with that piece of it. I already talked about Anderson Hall. I talked about Schallenberger. One that I'll point out specifically, Wildcat One Stop. You'll hear Casey talk a little bit more about this during K-State's master plan presentation. But the one-stop concept is really thinking about how do we serve students differently, either with administration or enrollment or financial aid activities. Right now, we have students that they have to go to multiple areas across our campus. It's not very student-friendly. Same way with academic support, same way with health services. And so The one-stop concept that we want to come up with is really a three-way piece to consolidate those individual services. This project is on the administrative side, where we're consolidating a lot of our financial aid, our cashiering, registrar, those functions that are supporting student enrollment and are critical. But right now we send students in multiple areas. So that's probably one of our most exciting projects in my mind that we're moving forward with. So this is a rough timeline. It is dependent upon some funding available. And we've also tried to line it up with the cash flow of the Restoration Act. I would say this can ebb and flow depending on availability. So a good example might be Anderson Hall. If we're able to secure funding for that through the philanthropic support, we would advance that forward and we'd move some others off into the distance. And so this is really just kind of a tentative timeline at this point that we've been trying to make sure that we think about how we're going to stage these projects with our cash flow piece of that. And with that, happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Ethan? Right. Great job. Appreciate all our institutions for all the work and the presentations. Really greatly appreciated. I know normally we would break right now, but knowing we have a hard stop at 3:30, I think we're going to keep on rolling. I'm going to test my colleagues up here. Next up is the Kansas State University Master Plan presented by President Linton.
Good afternoon, Regent Benson and the rest of the Board of Regents. I was going to suggest just a 1-minute stand up and stretch break so that you guys can, so why don't we just take a minute, you guys stand up. And I used to teach a lot of 3 or 4 day courses and we did this a lot. It helps. Might get your brain circulating and going again, because we got a lot coming at you. Yeah, please come back. No. All right, I think that was good to do. Let me start by saying I've been looking forward to presenting our master plan for a long time because I really wanted you to meet the team that has created this. My State of the University address that I gave about a week and a half or so ago, I introduced some of these concepts to the faculty and staff, of course, pending approval from the Board of Regents. And I had said this is probably the most significant project that we've done since I've been at K-State because in the way in which it was done. I think you'll find it to be very strategic. I think you'll find it to be very inclusive, and I think you'll also find it to be very innovative, and it's right, I think, for where K-State is headed. From an inclusivity standpoint, they reached out to internal stakeholders, external stakeholders, survey instruments, town halls, one-on-one meetings. And I think really at the state of our university, you really got the appreciation and the buy-in that we feel like this is what our campus ought to look like in the upcoming future. So with that, I'd like you to meet the person that's led a lot of this effort over the last 18 months or so, Casey Lauer, our Associate Vice President of Facilities.
Thank you, President Linton. As he said, my name is Casey Lauer. I serve as Associate Vice President for Facilities, and I'm honored to present our Campus Master Plan update, which has spanned the last 18 months. I would also like to express my appreciation to Smith Group, our consultant that did a fabulous job leading the development of this plan. So I'd like to start by comparing and contrasting our proposed plan with our last master plan from 2012, which was largely centered around growth. You can see the difference right off the top from the number of new construction facilities that were proposed then versus now. So about a quarter of the amount of new builds, but each one of them very strategic in nature. We also intend to steward our resources better. This plan is intended to be one of resiliency and stewardship, about 10x the amount of renovations proposed in this plan. And we also know that demolition is a necessary component to really move ahead with the quality of space that we need in the future. So what went into this plan? On the left, I show 4 of our strategic plan imperatives to increase our enrollment, to keep those students longer on our campus, to focus on applied learning opportunities, and also to expand our research. We feel like we're uniquely positioned to tackle our grand challenges, which are centered in the middle there, our opportunity agenda, which largely formed this plan as well. On the right side, we call these Board of Regents goals, but really these are K-State goals at this point. We've been at this pretty hard for the last 3 to 5 years. And you heard Ethan talk about some of the successes so far. So what came out of the plan? We developed a cohesive framework to unite all 3 of our campuses and to really share in a reinforced identity, but also leveraging the strengths of all 3 of those campuses as well. You'll also notice at the bottom of this page, we developed planning principles. Again, we hadn't had these prior. And so we used the Restoration Act projects as a test bed for these drivers. And we anticipate using these planning principles in the development of future projects across all of our campuses moving forward. So this has been an 18-month discovery journey here. We have engaged thousands and thousands and thousands of people through this process, through a variety of methods, in-person, virtual, digital, through surveys, workshops, through town halls, and when it matters, K-Staters show up. Our consultant, Smith Group, has been in this industry for the last 25 years, stated that we set a new gold standard of engagement. So what did we hear? Here are some themes that came out of all of our campuses. To really activate our open spaces and to use them in different ways, but to also integrate K-State themed public art to build a stronger sense of identity, to focus on safety, accessibility, and parking, and to respond to what it means to become a health promoting university, which we aspire to do just 4 months before beginning this master plan. To modernize our buildings, but to balance the aesthetics with functionality, but to also build better buildings for the future. And lastly, to increase the amount of research space. That is underpinned, if I compare and contrast our enrollment numbers for fall 23 with what we aspire to through our plan, you can see that we have adequate classroom, academic, and office space, but the one area we fall short is research space. It's highlighted on your screen in red. We're 200,000 square feet short of meeting our aspirational goals currently. I'd also mention that these are quantities and they don't represent the quality of space that we need moving forward, hence the number of renovations you'll see in a minute. So I'd like to share a vision for all 3 of our campuses, starting with Salina. Salina has 2 amazing facilities that are being built right now. First, the K Aries facility, and secondly, the Aerospace Education Hub. Together, these represent over $80 million of investment into the Salina campus to create a destination for a new way to learn. And really the challenge with this campus is to convert and transform a previous Air Force base into a modern campus. So we did that by connecting all of these buildings with walkways, by renaming, which has already happened, the roads on this campus to K-State themed public roads, and also to integrate the gateways into campus with the city of Salina. For our metro campus, Olathe, the goal here is really to create a template for partnership and growth. It's partnership with the city of Olathe, with JCERT in the greater Kansas City metro area, but it's also co-locating industry on this campus to focus on credentialing and workforce development. And we aspire to being a hub for innovation and cutting-edge research in the areas of advanced manufacturing, community health, and the future of food. And for our Manhattan campus, our vision here is really to align our portfolio with our resources and our mission moving forward. You'll see a number of new construction buildings represented here in dark purple, and I'll cover a lot of these in the remaining slides. But it's also balanced through a series of proposed renovations shown here in purple. The amount of gross square feet that this totals is over half of our mission critical portfolio, and a number of demolition projects. All said and done, when this plan is complete, our mission critical from an institutional standpoint, gross square footage will be reduced by 14% overall. Not only that, just this week, we launched a real-time space utilization pilot, and we are seeking the data with the goal of utilizing our space more efficiently and also more strategically. This plan, for the first time, also created 7 unique districts on our campus that each function with each other, but with unique space types within each district. So I want to cover highlights from 3 of these districts: the campus core, our research core, and also our edge district. So first up, our campus core, we have enjoyed successes of recent renovations in this area, including Hale Library, Seton Hall, and portions of the Student Union. We have renovations either underway or proposed for Eisenhower, Holtz, Fairchild, and Kedzie. Those are the buildings crosshatched. But there are 2 iconic buildings that I want to call to your attention, both Anderson and Ahern Fieldhouse. So both of these renovations are not only iconic buildings, but they're accentuated by the pedestrianization, the dark-colored roads currently in front of both buildings. So first, Anderson Hall. You heard Ethan talk about this one. It's part of our Restoration Act set of projects. It renovates and preserves the exterior of Anderson. It connects the lawn, which is an expansive green space in front of the building, more fully with the building. It creates a social plaza, which you see here, which is currently a road. And then it hints at potentially bringing back the historic porches on the front of the building. This project also re-envisions the interior with the hope that we can utilize this space more efficiently and strategically. Next, for Ahern, this master plan intersected a concurrent demolition for the natatorium and gymnasium, as you see on the left side of the screen. And it was tasked with coming up with a recommendation for the future use and purpose of this building. And the recommendation is a flexible convention and events center. We feel like this use honors the legacy of the building for the activities that took place there for so many years to really serve all Wildcats. And so we would now have a space when this is complete for things like graduation, convocation, TED Talks, Landon lectures, career fairs, and things like that. We don't have that space right now. In terms of our research district, the yellow spaces on this slide are new builds, and they speak specifically to the 200,000 square feet I mentioned earlier being short. This would be a one-stop for interdisciplinary teams to work in flexible labs to really focus on our opportunity agenda, which really centers around energy and water, health, technology, and food. I think there's also a potential to consolidate our vivarium spaces into these as well. The other spaces in the darker color, it's really the future of research on our campus. This is where research would go public, where we foster partnerships, take risks, and a launch pad for new ventures. Lastly, our EDGE district. Many of you know about the EDGE district and how it's developed. It's really an opportunity to connect our university with our corporate, industry, and business partners. And I want to highlight 3 projects that are going on right now on the EDGE. So the first is the Bilbrey Family Event Center. The Bilbrey is a direct replacement for Weber Arena, which we demolished probably 24 months ago. It's about 3 times the size of Weber, fully code compliant, has air conditioning, and our hope is to be able to host 30 to 40 ag-related events in this facility every year. The ribbon cutting for this facility occurs 23 days from right now, so please come if you're available. The next is the Agronomy Research and Innovation Center. It's the one in the middle of the map there. This is also part of our Ag Innovation series of projects. The unique thing about this project is it centers the research directly adjacent to the research plots in the fields to really strengthen that relationship of making our research endeavors better within the College of Ag. And lastly, the Champions Gate. This is not a building, but it's a series of buildings to really accentuate the EDGE district overall. So this would feature a premium hotel and condos, a restaurant, a brewery, all to complement our premier ag, athletics, and corporate spaces in the EDGE. And lastly, I'd like to focus on how we're putting our students first through the remaining slides here. Our response to not only serving our students, but how we approach wellness, how we connect our campus more fully with the Campus Creek, and also how we address pedestrianization, parking, and mobility. So our approach to student services, this plan intersected a visioning process that Dr. Lane was leading concurrently. And so we have adopted the outcome of that visioning process, which is a center of excellence model, contrasted with the model on the lower left of your screen, where we send students to no less than 9 to 12 different facilities around our campus for assistance in their academics, wellness, or enrollment needs. So these 3 buildings were selected purposefully for the locations central to campus so that we can meet students where they're at. So I want to talk a little bit about each one of these. Ethan mentioned the enrollment one-stop. This is synonymous with our Wildcat one-stop. It's part of our Restoration Act set of projects. It renovates the entire south portion of Kedzie Hall, and it co-locates units such as cashiering, financial aid, PowerCat Financial, the registrar enrollment, student records, and also veteran affairs in one place. Secondly, Hale Library is our center for excellence for academics. And many of our Wildcats use this as a center to study day in and day out. And so we have enjoyed some successes. We moved tutoring into this building earlier this year. We think there's opportunities to continue that, to also co-locate the writing center, advising, and also academic coaching as well. And lastly, the wellness building. This would be a purpose-built, or purpose new build, specifically around well-being. And it co-locates items around clinical services, counseling, mental health, perhaps partnerships with Stormont Vale, the College of Health and Human Sciences, and it provides some unique applied learning and also research opportunities. For a more connected campus, I mentioned Campus Creek. For years, we have worked around this creek instead of working with it. It spans from the lower left of your screen, which is Aggieville, all the way to the top right of your screen, which is the Edge District. So our plan is to use this as an inter-campus connector for all of our students, leveraging green spaces, walking trails, the wellness building, which I just talked about, an expansion of the K-State Gardens, and the distance from our academic core to athletics is less than a mile. And if we were to travel to the Edge, we're still right at 1 mile. In order to create a stronger sense of place, this plan proposes the pedestrianization or closure to vehicular traffic of 5 of our existing roadways. So it creates this area outlined in purple on your screen that would also create a safer campus, a more populated campus. So that's needed here. The Wildcats symbolize K-State themed public art. So it designates you're entering into a special place. And I think it's also important to the top right. You can see we're proposing or we'll be studying the connection of Jardine Drive to Manhattan Avenue to provide a little bit better access to the new Kansas Vet Diagnostics Lab, which will be under construction in the next 12 months. As a result of those pedestrianizations, here's a concept for Bosco Plaza kind of re-envisioned to create a new front door for our campus and welcome visitors, future students, and guests. Bosco is really the glue that connects the vibrancy of campus life with our historic core. Currently, you can see in the bottom right that we've removed a series of barriers to create this open, inviting plaza right in the heart of campus. So let's unpack what all of this means. So currently, we've completed over 400,000 square feet of demolition, which Ethan highlighted. We're proposing about 1 million square feet in strategic new builds. We're proposing about half of our mission critical portfolio be renovated and take down an additional 500,000 square feet through replacement of buildings. So all of this yields about a net neutral impact when it comes to quantity of space, but it strategically repositions our portfolio to help us achieve our goals of becoming the next generation land grant university. And so now I have a special treat. I'd like to call our head Wildcat and captain, President Richard Linton, to the podium to help navigate a flight through our future campus, which knits all of these elements together.
Thank you, Casey. I'm not sure it's a special treat, but what I thought I'd try to do is to visualize it. We asked the Smith Consulting Group to be able to put together a 10,000-foot kind of flyover of what we're trying to accomplish campus-wide. Of course, the purples in building are the buildings that we're going to change, renovate, or new capital builds, just to orient you with where we are with the space. We are on this side of Kimball with the Edge Collaborative District. And then, of course, we have the football stadium in Bramlage right across the street. And we'll just do a quick flyover to give you a virtual look at this. Again, this is the Edge District, football stadium, transcending down across renovated athletic fields for our students. You'll see, too, on the top left-hand side, this is the new Kansas Diagnostic Lab, a state-funded lab this past year. The gardens will be a central part of our campus. We mentioned the campus creek. We're going to utilize that creek to be able to be a pedestrian walkway through the entire campus. There'll be a STEM-based research hub on our campus. We had mentioned the Wellness Center transcending, and then we will begin to fly over the Leadership Studies building. And you can see this is an example of what the Campus Creek project will look. Most people don't even know that there is a creek on campus. And that creek actually takes you all the way to athletics to be able to safe place in a way that pedestrians and bikers can transcend the entire campus. This is just a first line vision of what the Wellness Center will look like for both physical and mental wellness for our faculty, staff, and students. Then as we transcend across the college business and the president's residence, we head up to a completely new look of what Anderson Hall will be. The plan is to be able to take Anderson Hall back to where it was over 100 years ago, with the balconies in the front, taking away the parking spots in the front and making this a place for people to congregate, whether it's faculty, staff, students, alumni, stakeholders there at Kansas State, to be able to kind of relive the memories that they had, and making this space kind of the place on campus to be able to congregate in the future. As we kind of take a left and we move on down, this takes us past Anderson to new concepts that are going to be present in the Bosco Plaza, which needs a complete refresh, and then takes us to Ahern and a new visualization of what Ahern might look like from an event standing place in the future. The smokestack in the back, you'll see we're going to paint it purple. It's very important. This is the Ahern Fieldhouse. And as we kind of walk our way into the Ahern Fieldhouse, this is meant to be an event space, both for internal and external stakeholders, everything from classes to big meetings that we can work through this space. And as Casey had mentioned, we don't have any space like this on our campus. We need to rent space off campus to be able to do that. You know, I had ended the presentation at the state of our university with this slide, with this video, and I made a statement that I'll share here. My colleague had once told me, if you don't dream it and you don't plan it, it never happens. And I think this group has done a really good job of dreaming great things. And I think we've got people that have been put in place that can implement a really important plan. And this may be 20, 25 years in the future, but I think we've got a great future for what this campus could look like. So with that, I am happy to, and Casey and Ethan are happy to answer any questions that we can.
Well done, Captain Linton.
Thank you.
And Casey, for you, great, outstanding presentation. Very well done. Questions? Feedback? Regent Brasker.
Fantastic plan. I really appreciate the detailed presentation. I was just thinking about how do we involve alumni into this campus build. So I see some universities having bricks of the students' names on it. Is there something like that that you guys are planning on? It may not be the name of the hall, but those things could be something that you can think of.
So I think there's multiple opportunities. The first opportunity was to engage them in the process of where we are today.
Yeah.
And there was heavy engagement with alumni and donors. And we're already starting to engage and involve donors into this process. If you involve them in the beginning and utilize the ideas about what they want to do, there's a better chance that they're going to support it. So we're envisioning more than bricks being named. We have buildings in there that need a whole lot of philanthropic support. But yes, it's a key and critical piece. And I think, as I had mentioned in the beginning, this project really involved everybody from these students all the way to our stakeholders externally to our alumni. And that's what I was really proud of.
Any other questions? If not, would entertain a motion to approve the campus plan as presented. Okay, motion by Regent Wolfmore.
We're all jumping in.
Second by Regent Amar. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, again, very well done.
Welcome. If you're wondering if we can get through the next agenda item in 7 minutes, I believe we can if you want to try.
Let's do it.
Want to try? Okay.
Press our luck.
So the next item on the agenda is to act on a proposed revision to the Kansas State University's mission statement. And so with this, Kansas State University is requesting a revision, a very small revision to its institutional mission statement. The document that you have before you identifies the one small change that we are requesting. And if you look at the document under proposed amendment, it's the second sentence, which says the university embraces diversity, comma, encourages engagement. We are asking for the change, the university embraces all rather than diversity, and this is to comply with Senate Bill 125 and to be able to line up with all of the other strategic plans in our colleges and our units on campus.
All right. Thank you, President Linton. Any questions? Would entertain a motion to approve. Okay, motion by Regent Wolfmore,
Second.
second by Regent Amar. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, approved.
Thank you.
And closing us out for the afternoon, gonna call on President Muma to introduce the act on request to approve granting an honorary degree from Wichita State. President Muma.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm honored to present Shocker alumna and renowned opera singer Joyce DiDonato for consideration for an honorary doctorate to be conferred at our commencement ceremony this December. Joyce was born in Kansas and known around the world as one of the most influential and admired opera singers of her generation. She is a multiple Grammy and Olivier Award winner and has been praised by several prominent publications around the world. Her interpretations have redefined the role of the modern opera singer, blending breathtaking musicality with a deep commitment to storytelling and advocacy. Beyond the stage, Joyce is an artist citizen, and her work reflects the highest ideals of service and creativity. She has developed projects that champion access to the arts. In every setting, she uses her platform to open hearts, minds, and opportunities for others. Joyce DiDonato embodies the spirit of Wichita State's mission, using her talent and tenacity to create change. Her impact on the arts and society is undeniable, and her Kansas roots makes her achievements a point of deep pride for our state, our university, and of course, the community. So it's my privilege to recommend Joyce DiDonato for an honorary doctorate for Wichita State University commencement in December of this year.
All right, thanks so much, President Muma. Any discussion, questions? Okay, motion by Regent Dicus, second by Regent Johnston. Got in a little quicker that time. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, approved. All right, and seeing former board chairs beginning to stand in the doorway, it tells me it's time to adjourn the business meeting and now recess into our reception, where we'll celebrate the 100th birthday of the Kansas Board of Regents, and we'll start a brief program at about 3:50. So thank you to everybody for your time.
See a big purple. I usually kind of